Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games and welcome to my value pick reserve list investment video. This video is intended to provide cards to you that is a great time to pick these cards up right now, whether you want them for your collection or you're considering them for long-term investments. These are cards that haven't yet seen a spike in this crazy reserve list buyout environment we're currently in. And I did do a video on the safest reserve list investments. I'll put that up in the top right-hand corner, so if that's something that interests you, make sure you check that out. All right, let's dive right into the list. Coming in at number 10, we have Temporal Aperture from Urza's Saga, currently valued at $4, and this card has an all-time high of around $20. So we're a long way off from our all-time highs. It hasn't seen a recent uptick with all of these reserve list sort of buyouts and investment, and it's really just kind of a fun card for Commander. It's a bit random in the sense that you can't really control the effect. However, the effect is quite powerful. For just 2 mana, we get an artifact and we can pay 5, tap it, shuffle our library and reveal the top card. Until end of turn, as long as that card remains on top of our library, we can play that card as though it were in our hand and without paying its mana cost. Really fun kind of effect in Commander, would be awesome in some sort of big green kind of stompy type deck, or just anything that runs a lot of high-end, high-cost permanents. And coming in at number 9, we have Zeroland of the Claw, currently valued at $5.25, and this one's also a ways off from its all-time high of $18.50. Really awesome creature that should be included in virtually every dragon deck. It's a bit narrow in that it really only plays well in dragon decks, however, it's extremely powerful. Zeroland of the Claw costs us 5 mana for a 3/4 legendary, and we can pay 3 mana to search our library for a dragon card and put it directly into play. Of course, that creature gains haste, and then we sacrifice it at the end of turn. So imagine throwing something like a Hellkite Tyrant into play and just swinging in there, gaining control of all the artifacts. Seems like it could be really backbreaking in Commander Dragon style decks. Our number 8 choice is Seeds of Innocence from Mirage, currently valued around $3.75, and this card has an all-time high of nearly $15. Really awesome card for a mono green sort of stompy deck or mono green elves or something like that that doesn't play a lot of artifact ramp. For just 3 mana, we get to destroy all artifacts, they can't be regenerated, and then each player gains an amount of life equal to the total CMC of the artifacts that they lost. Like I said, really awesome in some sort of elf ball deck or just a big massive mono green stompy deck where you really don't care about them gaining a nominal amount of life. Coming in at number 7, we have Fork, specifically the revised edition, currently valued at $32, and even though this has had a bit of an uptick over the course of the last couple of weeks, it still makes the cut for me. It has an all-time high of $43, so we're still a ways off from the all-time high, but there's a lot of decks right now that are playing a lot of instants, things like Calamax and stuff like that, so Fork is definitely a card that's on a lot of people's lists to pick up. For just 2 mana, we basically get to copy any instant spell. So as you can imagine, there's always going to be a lot of uses for this in Commander especially. All right, coming in at number 6 is a card I really like, and I think this one is pretty underrated. In fact, I just went and picked up 50 copies to add to my reserve list holds. This is Infernal Tribute from Weatherlight. Currently valued at $2.75, we're less than 50% from all-time highs. It's actually a great sort of mana dump, a way to get value out of creatures that are on the way to the yard anyway. This has been revised to say a non-token permanent, so sadly you can't use it with any sort of infinite token combos. However, if you have stuff like grave crawlers and things like that, you can use it to gain a massive card advantage. In fact, in the right situations, you could draw your whole entire deck if you choose to do so. A little bit of an underrated card. I picked up a whole bunch of copies myself personally to hold. I think Infernal Tribute at just 3 mana is an excellent opportunity for future profits. All right, coming in at number 5 is one I actually considered putting up much higher on the list. It's only for the fact that the scope of this card is fairly narrow. However, it's a very powerful effect in the right types of decks, and I think this card has a long way to go in terms of uphill potential. Its all-time high was nearly $42, and we're sitting at $18.25. So really a lot of room to move with this card. Really cool enchantment, really cool type effect, very unique. For just 3 mana, each player who controls a land sacrifices a land during his or her upkeep. And then if at any time there's no lands in play, you bury mana. Vortex. Of course, you have to sacrifice a land when you bring it into play. Now, I could see this being extremely effective and really being able to turn the screws down on your opponents in the right types of decks, especially if you're playing something like Crucible of Worlds, where you're just recycling your lands from your graveyard. All right, our number 4 winner is Donate from Urza's Destiny. This is another card I really like and picked up a bunch of copies for my own personal reserve list hold collection as well. Has all-time high of $30. Now, realistically, that was a giant spike. Most of the time, this card's spent living in the sort of $12 to $10 range, let's say. Currently valued at $7.25. Even though it's had a recent uphill tick, I think that this card has a lot of future potential. It's a really unique effect. For just 3 mana, we're giving a permanent we control to another player. So as you can imagine, there's going to be all kinds of uses for that in something like Commander. And I think that there's a lot of cards that will be coming in the future that Donate will synergize with really well. And our number 3 choice is Thawing Glaciers from Alliances. Currently valued around $16.50. It's had an all-time high of about $45. Granted, again, this was a pretty big spike and it came down pretty hard from there. But this reality is this card should be living in the sort of $20 to $25 range. So we've got a lot of room to improve up to that point. It hasn't really seen an uptick recently, so now's a great time to be getting into this card before people really start having a hard look at Thawing Glaciers again. Comes into play tapped, we can pay 1 mana, tutor out a basic land, put that card directly into play, it doesn't count as our land play for turn, and then we have to return Thawing Glaciers to our hand at the end of turn. Of course, this is really awesome mana fixing for Commander. And our number 2 winner is Soul Devi Excavations from Alliances. Currently valued around $6, had an all-time high of nearly $21. Really kind of cool land. When it enters the battlefield, we have to sacrifice an untapped island, so huge downside there. However, it taps for 2 mana, a blue and a colorless, so you quickly make that up. And then we can pay 1 and tap it to scry 1. And being able to scry 1 as a mana dump in Commander can give you a significant advantage. And our big winner is the Abyss from Legends, currently valued at $715. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't understand why this card hasn't moved yet. So if the Abyss is on your list and you can afford it, now is the time to get the Abyss for sure. There is no question about it. This card will be going up and probably going up hard over the course of the next few weeks and months. It has an all-time high of $2,000, which is not really realistic. More like $900 to $1,200 is the real range that this card generally lives in. So you've got a lot of room for uphill potential here. The Abyss provides a unique effect in that every turn, each player has to sacrifice a non-artifact creature they control during their upkeep. So it's a great way for Black to really put the screws down on their opponent, especially if they're playing reanimator strategies where they're just bringing things back from the graveyard all the time. This can have a nominal or even a beneficial effect for a Black player. Great time to be picking up the Abyss. There'll never be a cheaper time to get this card than right now. All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed this Value Picks reserve list investment video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out. And I'll be doing another video like this on speculative reserve list investment next week. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you check that out. All right, bye for now.